Hey everyone, this is Movies Recut, so they suck less. Now, today we're gonna do, sorry for the chipper attitude, I'm trying to emulate every other YouTuber, but I'll just talk like myself now. As you can see, I don't have any bokeh in the background, I don't have a blurry background, I'm not gonna sit here and be like how awesome my gear is and how I do everything, but whatever. Anyways, point being is this is Movies Recut, so they suck less. I'm Alex Stradling, so, I've been editing for 20 years. I'm not a professional, Hollywood editor, but, I work for a public access station, so I get to edit a lot of garbage, and that makes you just a better editor, because you got to try to polish that turd, so, and that's why I got in as a hobby, cutting movies so they suck less. So if you want to watch more of these, and you've, come upon this channel, please subscribe. And we also have The Last Jedi Recut, so it sucks less. And then we also have Suicide Squad's Recut, so it sucks less. Now, I'm going to do Lord of the Rings, and I'm going to do the whole trilogy. Now, I wouldn't say Lord of the Rings is like a really crummy movie. It's actually pretty good. The trilogy is pretty good. But here's the problem with Lord of the Rings. They're way too long. All three of them are way, 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 way too long. So we have the first one. That's 2 hours and 58 minutes. I remember when I first went to go see Lord of the Rings in the theater, I almost fell asleep, like, at the 2 hour mark. I thought the movie was over when Gandalf died, and that was it. I was like, when is this movie going to end? Second one, same deal. 2 hours. When is this movie going to end? When is this movie going to end? And that movie was even longer. That was 3 hours and 30 minutes. I mean, it was almost like 4 hours. And the same thing with the third one. So my main issue with Lord of the Rings is they're way too long. I mean, so we need to start trimming stuff. We need to cut it down so it's paced out better. And so that's what we're going to do today. So I'm just going to do this in like a series of videos. The first one, we're going to cut up the introduction, the beginning of the movie, so it paces out better. And then in part two, we're going to, go on through the movie in pieces. So I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan, okay? I haven't read the books. I don't know everything about Lord of the Rings. When I went to go see the movies, I never read the book. So I'm looking at it just from an average moviegoer's perspective and kind of, seeing this story as a way of, I don't know anything about the book or the story, and I don't care, all right? I just want to watch a good movie that doesn't make me fall asleep. No. Every time I try to watch Lord of the Rings, I always fall asleep. I start with the first one, I fall asleep in the middle of the movie, wake up, maybe finish it, try to start the second one, fall asleep in the middle of the movie. So we're going to try to stop people from falling asleep. So I also want suggestions before I go into part two. What would you like cut out or redone in the first Lord of the Rings? So let's get to it. So we got Board of the Rings. The Fellowship of the Rings are one of our main characters, as you know, is Frodo Crying Baggins. Okay. Then we move on to Gandalf the Mumbler, because in the first one, half of his lines I couldn't even understand. And we got Bilbo's the Crackhead Baggins. Moving on to Samwise, the Golden Retriever Gamgees. Thing 1 and Thing 2. I don't even know their names. They just look like Thing 1 and Thing 2. They act like it too. They get everyone in trouble by doing stupid things. Then we move on to Aragorn the Indecisive. And then Legolas the Mute. He doesn't really say much throughout the entire film. Bimli the Bumbler. And then Saruman the White. And then we got our big baddie, which is like an eye, but like before he was an eye, he looks like the mascot for Iron Maiden, basically. So there we go. All right, so Lord of the Rings. All right, so the first part of Lord of the Rings, we have the prologue, which kind of introduces, the setup. What happened in the past. Rings of power were made for the elves and the dwarves and the humans, and then one big ring to rule all of the rings, the most powerful, is the one made by Sauron. So, he's going to try to take over the world. They have a huge battle. Gets his finger cut off, and the ring is lost. And I'm just going to play that half. I'm going to play from here, and I'll tell you what I cut. Okay? Here we go. Here we go.
Sauron, the enemy of the free peoples of Middle-earth, was defeated.
I wonder why it was so easy to. He's like got this powerful ring.
The ring passed to be sealed.
Yet it was really easy to cut it off.
One chance
for some reason.
Destroy evil.
He wasn't really that bad of a bad guy.
But the hearts of men are easily corrupted, and the ring of power has a will of its own. It betrayed Isildur to his death.
Yeah, if this ring's supposed to give you so much power, I mean, why did this guy get killed so easily too?
That should
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Were lost. History became legend. Legend became myth. And for 2,500 years, the ring passed out of all knowledge. Until, when chance came, it ensnared a new bearer. The ring came to the creature Gollum, who took it deep into the tunnels of the misty mountains. And there, it consumed him.
This is a cool shot right here.
The ring brought to Gollum unnatural long life. For 500 years it poisoned his mind. And in the gloom of Gollum's cave, it waited. Darkness crept back into the forest of the world. Rumor grew of a shadow in the east, whispers of a nameless fear. And the ring of power, the sea.
Alright, yeah, so...
Its time had now come. It abandoned Gollum. But something happened then the ring did not intend. It was picked up by the most unlikely creature imaginable. A hobbit, Bilbo Baggins of the Shire.
Alright, so this is the part of the prologue that we're going to cut out. And the reason is, well, I already feel like this movie's too long, so I'm going to look for any opportunity to cut stuff out. And I think it works in our favor because we don't need to know, we need to leave a little mystery of where the ring is at. We don't need to know that Bilbo Baggins has the ring because we're obviously going to be highlighted to that later on in the story, so we don't need to know that right away. So this is a great opportunity to cut some of the fat off of this big behemoth of a cow of a series. So I cut this part out. So here's what it looks like. And if I can get to it, I will. Here we go.
The ring came to the creature.
We don't have to see the Gollum part again. Let me just scroll right up here. There we go.
The ring brought to Gollum unnatural long life. For 500 years it poisoned his mind. And in the gloom of Gollum's cave, it waited. Darkness crept back into the forest of the world. Rumor grew of a shadow in the east, whispers of a nameless fear. And the ring of power, the sea. Its time had now come.
And there we are. Now we have created a little mystery. We don't know where the ring is, so maybe we're going to be a little bit more engaged in the story. So obviously, if you're a fan of the books and you read the books, you already know what happens. But now we're introduced to the character and we're wondering what's going on with the ring. If something's going to happen. All right, so the first scene in the movie is we meet Frodo Baggins, and then we meet Gandalf driving into town, and obviously we get information that Gandalf has arrived to attend Bilbo Baggins' 111th birthday party, and then we also get a little information about, we get to see the Hobbit town, and we also get a little information about Frodo thinking that Bilbo Baggins has got something up his sleeve. There's something going on, all right? And we get all that information in the scene, And then we cut to Old Friends, what I call scene 2 or scene 3, Old Friends Meet, where Gandalf meets Bilbo Baggins, and you establish that they've had adventures in a long-term relationship there. And then you get a little hint that something's going on with Bilbo Baggins, and that also he wants to leave the Shire, get away to a restful place where he can write his book. All that is great information, and you know, but this movie's way too long. So this scene was kind of a hard choice, but I decided to cut this scene out. And there were a couple reasons why I decided to cut this scene out. One is a lot of the information, or a lot of the things that you get out of this scene, you also get in other scenes. There's also Bilbo Baggins' party, so you get this information also. And we don't necessarily need to know. You also know that he takes off later in the movie, and you don't need to have that set up right away. You also get that information in the beginning, but you also don't need to have that set up in this scene. And also, it just slows down the beginning of the movie. We need to, you know, really, we want to stick to our main character, which is Frodo. And all this sort of establishing this relationship, if you've already read the book, you would already know that there was a relationship there before. I don't know what was in the book. This is probably a scene in the book. That's probably why it was left in. But for me as an audience member, it just didn't do much for me. So this scene is gone, and I don't think we need it. So this is what how I cut the scene up. So basically, instead of going to this scene, we cut right to Bilbo Baggins' party. And this is what it looks like. All right. So let me get that up for you guys. Let's see here if I can do it right. Okay. Play this for you.
All I did was give your uncle a little nudge out of the door.
Whatever you did, you've been officially labelled a disturbance of the peace.
So yeah, we cut right into the party scene. I think it works better because we're still entertained by that mystery of Bilbo, who Bilbo is, and you know, what has he got up his sleeve. You know, we don't quite know yet that he's going to go run off to write his book, that he's going to leave the Shire. So we still want to know that information. We get to meet our main characters through our journey quicker. We get to meet Samwise, the golden retriever, Gamgees. We also get highlighted we get to know a little bit about Bilbo Baggins because he tells the story to the kids right here, okay? And that's intriguing to us. Then we get to meet Thing 1 and Thing 2 doing stupid games. I almost cut this fireworks scene out because I think it just slowed it down, but kind of had to leave that in there just to establish that these guys are a couple of idiots and they're just going to screw up everything as the story goes on. So I left it in there. And then we get to our inciting incident, like the main purpose of the inciting sort of incident of the movie, close to it right here. So he's greeting everyone at the party, and then he grabs the ring, puts it on his finger, disappears, and now we're getting to the inciting incident of the story. And so we get to that quicker, and we don't slow it down with scene 2, which is the one that I cut out. And so during this scene, Gandalf wonders, where did Bilbo learn these magic tricks? And he finds out that he's got a ring, and Gandalf is suspicious, and convinces Bilbo to give up the ring. And also, we also learn that that he wants to leave the ring to Frodo. And in addition to that, we also, during this scene right here, we also learn that he's heading off to write his We don't know exactly where, but we get all that information that we reiterated a second time if we left the second scene in there. So that's why I cut it out. All right, so the next thing I decided to cut out was Gandalf's fact-finding mission. I understand, I guess, doing a little research that in the book, that took 17 years, but in this movie, it seemed like it took like 2 or 3 seconds, and it kind of throws the pacing off because we think we're going off in another direction, and then we're right back to where we were within 2 or 3 minutes. And it just breaks up the intensity of the scene. So let me just highlight really quickly what in the original scene. So Bilbo takes off, he leaves the ring. Gandalf goes to pick up the ring and gets a vision of Sauron, and he becomes very suspicious of the ring. And then Frodo enters, and Gandalf informs Frodo that Bilbo has left, and so on and so forth. And he's gone to the elves, and that he wants the ring in Frodo's possession, and Gandalf is very scared of the ring. He doesn't want to touch it. He feels drawn to it, and he tells Frodo to keep the ring safe while he goes out and finds some information. And then we cut to the baddies, whatever, Mount Doom, Mordor, whatever the hell they call it, and it pans over to this thing, and we hear this thing that says Shire Baggins, but we don't get to see what that is, and it's a little weird. And then the Naguls come out, riding out, and then we see Gandalf. He rides off into some sort of ancient library, and he does a little fact-finding research, and he reads some things, and then all of a sudden, he figures out what the ring is. And then we cut back to the Shire, and the Nazguls are looking for Shire Baggins, and then Frodo comes back to the house, and then he is surprised by Gandalf, and Gandalf asks him, "Where's the ring?" And then they throw it in a fire. It's revealed that, that it's got elfish text on there that represents that this is the bad ring, okay? So so what I did was basically, I cut out Gandalf's fact-finding mission, and the reason why I did that is it just slows down the intensity of the scene. We find out that this mysterious ring, has some power. Gandalf is suspicious, and we should have Frodo come right in, and we should get right to the gist of the story. We shouldn't waste any time. I think it's about like 3 minutes of time of him doing the fact-finding mission, and it just breaks up the pacing. So how I envision it is Bilbo leaves, then Frodo comes in, and it's revealed that this ring is the Ring of Power. What do they call the ring? The One Ring, that this is the One Ring, and that they need to do something. And so let me just show you how I recut it, and you just let me know what you think, all right? See if I can get to that point real fast, real quick. All right. All right, so here we go. Bilbo leaves.
Goodbye, Gandalf.
Goodbye, dear Bilbo. Until our next meeting.
He mumbles a lot, doesn't he?
It's mine, my own.
Riddles in the dark.
Bilbo! Bilbo!
My precious.
He's gone, hasn't he? He talked for so long about leaving.
Didn't think he'd really do it. Gandalf?
Baggage is around here. They're up in Hobbiton. Hold out your hand, Frodo. It's quite cool. What can you see? Can you see anything?
Nothing. Wait. There are markings. It's some form of Elvish. I can't read it.
There are a few who can. The language is that of Mordor, which I will not utter here.
Mordor.
In the common tongue, it says, one ring to rule the moon, one ring to fight them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness, fight them. This.
All right, there we go. So I cut out that fact-finding mission to just get to the inciting incident. They understand what the ring is, they understand its power, and they need to figure out what to do with it. That's the inciting incident of the story. In the original, it took basically, as I scroll through here, to get to that point, it took 30 minutes. 30 minutes to get to the inciting incident, where the even longer than that. Yeah, 30 minutes. And I got it to a point where you're getting to the inciting incident right 10 minutes less, 20 minutes. So that's why I cut out those scenes. So let me just show you the original real quick so you can see kind of how that goes. Here's the original. Okay. Maybe we don't have time for that, especially on YouTube. Here we go.
I don't understand.
Neither do I. Keep it secret.
So again, basically tells him he needs to go find out information, and he leaves Frodo. So now we gotta wait for information we already know. Because in the prologue, they already tell us it's a bad ring. Now we gotta wait for the characters to catch up. And that's why this movie kind of drags. You know? If it was a mystery to us, if we didn't have the prologue, I left the prologue, I could have taken the prologue out. If I left the prologue out, if I took that out of the movie, I probably could have left this scene in. But I decided to leave the prologue in there. It kind of looked cool. So either way, you could go. Either take the prologue out, leave this scene in here, or leave the prologue in and take this scene out. And this means nothing. I mean, this is these. Yeah, we know they're bad guys, but we don't understand the severity of what they're doing. And that doesn't make any sense when you're watching it for the first time. Like, who's saying Shire Baggins? And it doesn't create that much of a mystery. It's just like, okay, it's just a little confusing. You know, I like these epic shots, but it's like this movie's too long, and it's nice to see these places, but at the same time, it's like, we're just wasting time. You know? There you go. So I'm going to skim through. There's a lot of walking. So getting to the place, you know, showing shots of him walking up the stairs. We're just waiting for this guy to figure out what we already know. This is why this drags. He's like, all right, don't you get it?
It follows the account.
And then
Ring of power.
we got to listen to reading, which we already know from the prologue.
The one ring.
Yeah, there you go.
Its fate for
And then he's like,
a secret now that only fire.
and we're sitting there waiting. Oh, you finally got it. Great. So, all right, so that's it for part one. So we're going to be picking away at Board of the Rings and make it Lord of the Rings. Because right now it's Board of the Rings. We got to make it Lord of the Rings. So please subscribe to my channel. And hey, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, if you love the movies, I think the movies are pretty decent. There's a lot of things that can be fixed. If you love the movies, or if you like the books and you were disappointed with the movies and you want to see things fixed, please put down in the comments what you would like to see. Also tell me what an idiot or a jerk I am for ruining your favorite film. I can take it. I don't care. We all have different opinions and different tastes. The goal is to understand storytelling. Like, so, you're going to watch these shows because you want to understand storytelling and what you can do. How do you take a look at the story as a whole, and how does that affect you as an audience? If you're in the filmmaking, or if you're an editor, I would definitely recommend recutting films to maybe more to your taste, to see how you can take those scenes, reorganize them, or even just cut out lines, because even just cutting out a line or not showing something can change the whole intention and change the story and the feel of the scene. So, part two, we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about sort of the middle of the film and the things that I changed for that. And also, I'd like to hear your suggestions, and maybe I can help fix that for you. All right, see you next time. Bye.